We are joined today by Jean-Claude Monney, Global KM Lead at Microsoft Services, to discuss the link between KM strategy, execution, and culture. Jean-Claude, thanks for joining us. We'd like to hear from you about how important it is for Microsoft to accelerate KM culture, shorten the time to decision-making, reuse intellectual property, and increase customer loyalty. I'd like to start with the challenge to shorten the time to make a decision. What's the biggest challenge?
So I think the biggest challenge is really to access relevant knowledge in context. That actually became our vision there. And if we look at why people need to access knowledge, is because knowledge they don't have. Very simple. So they need to seek knowledge from other people. And here comes a very interesting thing, is how do you trust the knowledge that you're getting? So there's two things. You can get knowledge by connecting to people, and is that person a person that you will trust? You will trust because maybe it's a subject matter expert in your company, maybe by that person belongs to your community, to your network, you know that person has a reputation, and so on. So you're going to make a judgment on the validity and the relevance of that knowledge to make your own decision, which you are accountable for. So it's very important. If the knowledge is a knowledge that is in the form of a document, then the same thing happens. Is the document just somebody that posted on your website, or is it a document that has been certified by a relevant subject matter expert? So we do make the difference in our knowledge management systems of these different types of documents, so people can make a relevant decision based on the knowledge they access.
You know, if I had $1 for every time I heard somebody here or on the internet talk about culture is important for KM, culture, I'd be rich.
Yeah.
But when culture is poor in collaboration, what's the key to changing it?
So I think when we talk culture, there is a bit of this nebulous concept. I mean, let's go back to basic. Culture, whether it is in a company or in a country, is the sum of behavior. Okay? So think about your company. Think about your company right now. Is your company as an open culture where people can come to a meeting and argue with one another? Can they share things and so on? So we see three levels of culture for getting to the ultimate knowledge collaboration culture. The first one is the company culture, and the company culture is the company, the set of values, the common language. So APQC is very well known to have worked into the quality domain. So if you look at TQM culture, there is a common language. People, whether they use Kaizen or Six Sigma, they have the same approach to problem solving and so on. So whether you are in a company, you have that base, that common culture. Project management is very important because people do approach project in a similar way. So that's the foundation. The next level up is your collaboration culture, and that is mostly driven by the metrics that you put on people. And many times you see companies just neglecting that their performance management systems is actually going against the culture of collaboration, because they stack rank people. So they said, well, okay, I'm not going to share because I'm going to be measured against that person. So that will not favor and that will not enable collaboration. So once you have addressed those things, then you can go to the next level, which is really putting this whole together and having people that are willing to share knowledge, reuse knowledge. There's a lot of people who just don't want to ask help from others. Okay, so that's the third level, and you need to have all these aspects to basically embed a culture that is sustainable, that is become the way of doing. You can do a transformation, you can put all the effort, etc. If it's not sustainable, it's not worth doing it. Always do a transformation that is sustainable, and to be sustainable, it has to be in the DNA. Management needs to walk the talk. If I'm your manager and I want a TQM culture there, I should ask the person, have you done an 8D report? Did you celebrate with your team after the incident and so on?
If I gave you a choice of you can either build a culture from scratch, or you can fix a culture that's a mess. Which one is harder?
Fix a culture that is a mess, because habits are hard to change, and it's possible. I mean, we looked at in this country versus the country I come from, smoking. Smoking is, you know, I mean, I was watching Mad Men the other day, and it's amazing how people smoke all the time, right?
Yeah.
In America. Now you look here, people don't smoke that much. You go to Italy, you go to France or Switzerland, people smoke. So you can change culture and habits like that. So I think there is hope, but it's hard.
So Microsoft in 2006, you implemented a CAM platform for knowledge, collaboration, and discovery. What's the biggest change it's overgone in the last 8 years?
So when our CTO Norm Jude had just said, "Oh, great idea! You know, why don't we collect all the project and knowledge that we developed through the project into a project site, and then we make this discoverable from everybody in the company." I think we didn't have the kind of culture, like social culture, that we had. Fortunately, we started with a community of practice, and we evolved there. So number one thing that people really need to have in a knowledge management platform that is discovery. And discovery is key, because that's the discovery of knowledge. And discovery comes in three forms. The search, of course, that people wants to search, and here you have to deal with two types of knowledge: the structured knowledge and unstructured knowledge. The second one is people you can browse things. So you go to a library, you say, I'm going to go to this topic and so on. So this is another form of discovery. And the third form of discovery, which will become more predominant in the future, is a discovery that is pushed in context to the user. And because we know enough about the person, about the context, to be able to basically make some recommendation there. So fundamentally, what we will see changing is that the other major change, of course, is, besides social, that we have embraced with Yammer when we did the acquisition of Yammer. So now Yammer is a way of life and for people to have conversation. It's the mobile. So we basically have to think of the mobility of all the users. And for us, it was the first thing we did when we move our new platform now, it's to move it to the cloud. Because the cloud gives you a new level of innovation that we didn't have before. If you think about the way companies grew up, they have all these silos of information, of knowledge. And when you build this on premise, by design, you have all these silos. When you go to the cloud, there's one cloud. Mm-hmm. So all these knowledge base become searchable and discoverable, which they were not before. And I think people are going to really see other values of the cloud, the traditional elasticity of the cloud and all these things, in the way they can access information and knowledge like never before. So a lot of innovation will be coming from the cloud, and we just launched something called the Oslo project, which aggregate all this knowledge that goes around Office tools and SharePoint and so on. And I think that's the kind of major changes we're going to see.
Yeah. Jean-Claude Monney from Microsoft, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.